But today, I'm here with Janae Simon and Marjorie Crump Shears. Ladies, please tell us who you play in the production and a little bit about your characters.
Fabulous. So my name is Janae Simon, and I play Esther in this production. Essentially, she is a woman that is 35 years old. She lives in a rooming house, and she's made her living as a seamstress. She sews intimate apparel for women. And so she's led into these bedrooms of individuals and gets to know their stories. But this is really about her story, her journey.
Marjorie?
And I play Mrs. Dickson, who owns a rooming house. And Mrs. Dickson is a woman who has had to compromise in her life, but the rooming house has become her nom de plume, if you will. She loves taking care of the young ladies who rent from her, and she is very close to Esther.
Great. So you're playing Esther, and Esther is the lead character in this, and Esther is in every single scene of the play. So can you tell us a little bit about what that experience is like?
I think I knew that Intimate Apparel was Esther's story and about her journey during this period of time, but I think it really hit me that she was in every scene during the read-through, where I was turning to people and then I had to turn for another section and then another section. So it was just this constant maneuvering around the table. So it's been a delight though, because I think the really amazing thing is that all of the characters and all of the different individuals, Mrs. Dickson, Mr. Marks, George, Mamie, all of these people are essential, and they're essential parts of her stories, and they all bring different energies into scenes. So it's really exciting to be able to join someone else's world for a period of time and to create within that world, and then to go to another scene and it's a completely different world. So that's been a delightful experience of making this work with everyone.
Sounds exciting. Marjorie, is your character in the play, does she function a bit as a surrogate mother for Esther?
She definitely functions as a surrogate mother, especially for Esther. I would say somewhat for all of the young ladies in her rooming house, but especially for Esther, because their relationship goes back farther than any of the other relationships in Mrs. Dickson's life. And in that surrogacy, Mrs. Dickson is in a position to advise, to guide, to control a little bit. And that's what makes this role such a lovely one to play.
What was life like for the average black woman in 1905?
You know, I'll answer
Not that I'm directing
first.
that question to you, Marjorie.
That's okay. I know I'm closer to 1905 than anybody else in the cast. However, based on my mother and grandmother, in New York, it was busy. There was a black community that had many different role models. There were struggles and challenges all around that community, even in New York City back in 1905. And our country was just emerging and just becoming then. And the black community was also becoming. And I think we see some of that in this play, definitely.
Great. Esther sews fine, intimate apparel for women. But is there intimacy in Esther's life outside of these garments that she makes?
Yeah. This show makes me think, and even in my own life, I've been thinking about what intimacy is, because we've often reserved it for romantic relationships, and that is the only type of intimacy that you can have. And I think that that's something that Esther, I think her view of intimacy and thinking about what she doesn't have initially is that she's lacking intimacy because she doesn't have a romantic partner. But I think there's so many other types of intimacy that can exist. Like there's the familial intimacy, there's friendship intimacy, and I think that it's just realizing the plethora of intimate relationships that she has at her fingertips even if they're not romantic, they're still valid and they still can feed her. So that's just something that I think she's on a journey to understand throughout the play, and that me as a woman, I'm understanding as well, that I'm trying to, what are the ways that I can deepen relationships with other individuals outside of a romantic space.
Wonderful. That kind of leads to the next question of, in what ways do you see this play resonating with contemporary audiences, or do you see any parallels in the themes that are present today, for instance, perhaps maybe the Me Too movement, or...
It's interesting. That's a great question, because what immediately comes to my mind is today we're involved because of the media, online dating. But back in the early 1900s, there was a different type of online dating, and it was via mail from great distances, mail or telegram. And so that's a similarity. The difference is you don't know who it is, you don't see them physically, and the exchange of information is by choice of the sender. And that's a very interesting parallel, I think.
Well, what is it called when people put up a false profile online?
Catfish.
Catfish.
You get catfish.
Yeah. So that still goes on, even the people, you don't necessarily know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
But anyway, thank you so much for taking the time to do this with us today.